Hello everyone, I'm Professor Lee of Dr. Herbal Medicine TV. I hope you're all doing well and healthy. I haven't seen you for about a month because I was finishing up writing a book on aging treatment. Now the manuscript for the book has been organized and the book will be published in a month. And as I told you, special health lecture will be serialized this year. The topic is the latest aging treatment for healthy aging, which is absolutely necessary for everyone. Today is the first lecture and I will give you an overview. Let's get started. Everyone knows the purpose of treating high blood pressure and diabetes, right? The purpose is to protect major organs such as blood vessels, brain nerves, heart, kidney and eyes from further damage, thereby preventing various complications such as cardiovascular disease, stroke, kidney disease, nerve damage, and retinal damage. This is because it allows you to live a longer, healthier life. This also extends your lifespan by about 5 years. According to statistics from our country in 2021, 1 in 3 adults have high blood pressure, and 1 in 2 people over 60s have high blood pressure. 2 in 3 people over 70s have high blood pressure. If you take the subway or bus, 1 in 3 adults around you have high blood pressure. Isn't that a lot? However, the time to start treatment actively is after being diagnosed with high blood pressure or diabetes. Neither of these diseases suddenly appear one day. They gradually develop abnormalities at the cellular level over several years or a decade, and when they reach the limit, they are diagnosed as having a disease that can be treated. When you measure your blood pressure occasionally and it comes out normal, you feel relieved and thinking, oh, my blood pressure is normal. However, most middle-aged people already have abnormalities at the cellular level. Rather than being relieved just by looking at your blood pressure numbers, how about treating them when they start to have abnormalities at the cellular level that are invisible to the eyes? Rather than treating them after they have already developed hypertension or diabetes to prevent complications, we should prevent hypertension or diabetes from developing in the first place. If we do this, our healthy life expectancy will be extended to a much higher level than it is now. The same goes for cancer treatment. The image you are looking at is a 12mm early in liver cancer diagnosis with the highest resolution MRI. It's a very small, right? The size of a solid tumor that can be diagnosed early is at least 3mm even with the highest resolution MRI, and it is diagnosed as a disease that needs to be treated. 3mm is about the size of a grain of rice. However, before it becomes 3mm in the 1 to 3 years, the cancer cells have already started to form smaller lumps, and in years to decades before that, abnormalities at the cellular level have started to accumulate, so the cells are in a disease state. Modern cancer diagnosis and treatment advancement have increased the average life expectancy of humans by at least 5 years. Modern medical treatment is to regard clearly confirmed abnormalities as disease that need to be treated, and there is sufficient reasonable ground for doing so. But if therapeutic intervention is performed from the series when abnormalities at cellular level begin to occur, not only will cancer be prevented, but other cell function will also become healthy, and healthy life expectancy will increase by at least 2 times. Currently, most of the cancers, cerebrovascular disease, metabolic disease, and degenerative neuromusculoskeletal disease that shorten our lifespan and health span commonly begin at the cellular level, long before they are diagnosed as disease. Modern medical diagnostic methods do not primarily apply the method of finding abnormalities at the cellular level in clinical practice, so they simply cannot find abnormalities in the cells. What is a cellular disease? From now on, I'll briefly explain some characteristics that have been revealed through intensive research on the characteristics of cellular aging over the past 20 years. I'll explain them one by one, so please think about whether they apply to you. First, cells must continue to use genetic information of DNA to produce the proteins that need to live until they die. In this process, more than 100,000 damages occur per cell every day. Isn't that surprising? You don't have to worry too much. That's because most of it is repaired right away. However, it's not 100% repaired, and unrepaired DNA damage continues to accumulate. So we need to minimize this unrepaired and accumulated DNA as much as possible. Second, the ends of chromosomes are covered with caps that protect the DNA. These are called telomeres. However, each time a cell divides to grow, the telomeres become shorter, and when they reach their limit, the cell stops growing. Therefore, the telomeres need to be lengthened as much as possible. Third, there are two types of bacteria that coexist in the human body. One is intestinal bacteria and the other is mitochondria. Mitochondria coexist with all cells except red blood cells, and they have an absolute symbiotic relationship whether they live, age, and die together with the cells. If one of the cells or mitochondria becomes sick, the other becomes sick, and aging also affects each other. So, in order to delay cell aging as much as possible, mitochondria must be kept young. First, the immune cells also gradually age. When immune cells age, two problems occur. One is that the immune system defense is weakened, making it very vulnerable to new infections. The second is the opposite. Unnecessary immune hypersensitivity occurs, which easily causes chronic inflammation, and if it gets worse, causes autoimmune disease such as rheumatoid arthritis. Therefore, the immune system must be well managed and treated to keep it balanced. Fifth, stem cells remain in most organs of our body even as we age. These stem cells are called adult stem cells, and you have them all over your body right now. If these adult stem cells age quickly, they cannot be replaced old cells with new cells, and if the organ is damaged, they cannot be repaired immediately, so aging occurs more quickly. That's why we need to manage adult stem cells well so that they do not age quickly. Sixth, humans are multicellular animals, so cells must communicate with each other. As we age, cell-signal communication disorders occur. Communication signals become weaker or unnecessarily stronger, which accelerate disease and aging. Therefore, cell communication signals that are in a state of disruption must be corrected. Seventh, hundreds of species of intestinal bacteria live in the intestines, numbering in the tens of trillions. The temperature that most microorganisms prefer is around 37 degrees, and the temperature in the intestine is just about that, so it's a very good place to live. Intestinal microorganisms live there by feeding on the food we eat. Many beneficial substances created in this process affect organs of the entire body through the nerves, limbs, and blood vessels. If this intestinal microorganism ecosystem deteriorates, we are more likely to get sick and age faster. The intestinal microorganism ecosystem of the general elderly and the elderly who have lived to be over 100 years old are different. From now on, we must manage so that we can have the intestinal microorganism ecosystem of the elderly who have lived to be over 100 years old. The abnormalities in the cells that I mentioned so far are collectively called cellular aging. However, the important thing is that cellular aging is not something that happens naturally to everyone as they age. There is continuous evidence that cellular aging can be restored to some extent if managed well. We will have to wait and see if this type of aging treatment actually extends our lifespan, but one thing is certain, it definitely extends our healthy lifespan. This means that we will not get sick and are very healthy while we are alive. Anti-aging treatment are no longer science fiction. For example, certain drugs and treatment have already been reported to extend the lifespan, slow down the rate of aging, and even reverse age-related damage in animal models. Early clinical trials in humans are also showing promising results. The day will soon come when we will see specialized clinics providing aging treatment. Soon, you will be able to test your personal genetic and cellular aging status at an aging clinics and receive customized aging treatment. You will receive a prescription to keep your appearance young, prevent aging-related disease such as heart disease, diabetes, and dementia, and delay cellular aging as much as possible to live a long and healthy life. This revolutionary approach to viewing aging as a disease is not just a shift in biological understanding. It opens up enormous possibilities to fundamentally change the way we age and improve both personal health and social burdens. So, what will you choose? Will you passively accept aging, or will you actively manage and treat aging for a healthier and more vibrant life? Managing aging as a disease is not only about extending the lifespan of individuals, but also investment in society and the future. Now is the time to actively deal with aging rather than accepting it as a natural process. Starting next week, I'll be uploading lectures throughout this year on anti-aging treatment and longevity method that anyone can easily practice. Since this is a key point of research results of scientists around the world over the past 20 years, there will naturally be many unfamiliar terms. I'll try to explain it repeatedly and as easily as possible. I hope you study hard, put it into practice, and becomes even healthier. In the second lecture next week, we'll study 12 major topics for managing aging as a disease. See you next week.